Okay, guys, I want to quickly do this video, right? I'm gonna use this video as like a mock video, because I don't want to forget this topic. I'm gonna make this video again. I'll still upload it, but it's a point of reference to me because if I don't do this video, I'm gonna forget about it, and I want to help a lot of people. And I've been doing a lot of coaching sessions lately with clients, and this video is going to be in conjunction with some of the problems that come up when I'm in sessions coaching people, mostly in the area of anxiety, helping them to face anxiety, to grow, to build confidence, to get past it. Most of it is around social situations. Some of it is also around life. So I don't typically start off with clients by saying to them, what happened in your childhood. That's the kind of, everybody kind of associates that with therapy, right? It has its place, don't get me wrong. But my coaching is about helping people to move forward, because you can't go back in the past. You can talk about it and that helps some people. It relieves them of the stress, but in my experience, it's not enough to change your life. You have to move forward, and that's what I help people to do. But sometimes people, which I love it, my clients, they have to get it out. They want to open up and tell me about, abuse, a parent that has abused them when they were younger. Most of it is physical or, mental abuse, like shouting, criticism, or someone in their life a bully at school, right? And I went through the same, so I can relate and understand that. And that's most of where these issues come from, these anxiety issues with, not being able to maintain eye contact with people, or stuttering, stammering, or an inability to express yourself, or having self-doubt, having horrible, negative, critical voices about yourself, feeling stupid, feeling dumb, feeling that you're not good enough, having issues trusting people, opening up. All these issues don't come at a surprise to me, because I had all these issues myself, and the way that I overcame them. And I'd say some of them are still a battle for me, but most of the things that I overcame, and I was able to get to a good place and achieve success. Again, success is such a broad word. I can get into that in another video, but I turned my life around many years ago because I kept facing the fear. I kept taking action. But obviously, it's not easy for my clients. It's not easy for anybody, for that matter, to motivate themselves, to put themselves in situations where inevitably you're going to suffer mentally and emotionally. But it's a good suffering. It's a suffering that's going to make you confident, and it's going to help you to get past fears, insecurities, childhood traumas, self-doubt, limiting beliefs, voices in your head. When I say voices, I mean those negative thoughts, those fears, that negative conversation that we all have. Some of us have it louder than others, depending on how much we've worked on ourselves. So the thing that I want to share is a common one. I just got a voice message from one of my clients I'm working with. It's a common one I have with clients, and I understand this very well, being that I've been in the coaching industry for over a decade. They know what they need to do. They know what their problems are. They know what their goals are. They know what they want to achieve in their life, but they don't know how to motivate themselves out of that predicament. When you procrastination, it's not a word that I like, but let's use that word. So they get stuck. It's almost like, well, I want to make more money. I want to get a relationship. I want to change my job, or I want to break out of this routine. I want to unstuck myself from this rut that I'm in. I want to join the gym. I want to quit alcohol, or I want to quit smoking. I want to live a healthier lifestyle. But I'm finding myself not being able to find the strength to take action on the things that I need to act on, and to write my goals down and hold myself accountable. And I understand it's, look, depending on where you're at, what's going on for you mentally, because everyone's in different places. If you're in a good place, these things are challenging, but they're not that hard. because when you're in a good place, it makes it easier to go and carry out these tasks. Example, it's a lot easier to maintain eye contact with someone and have a conversation. It's easier to do that when you don't feel ashamed, when your life's going well. It could be financially, you could be secure, or you could have the right relationship, or you could be getting a lot of progress in any area of life. It doesn't always have to be the obvious things like money, fame, followers, or the right relationship. It could just be the fact that you're showing up, you're accountable, you're fulfilling your own standards that you set yourself. Your integrity is good, you're abstaining from an addiction, or you're living cleaner in your life, or you're being more honest with people, you're being kinder, your integrity stronger. These are all things that affect the way that you feel. So when you're feeling good, it's quite easy to go and, to go to a social meetup, for example. I run a meetup in London. I love it. And I do these meetup groups to help guys with confidence and work through issues and face fears and bring people together, etc. And I can imagine, as I'm also human as well, and I've been through lots of highs and lows in my life, in my personal life. So when you're feeling good and you're feeling confident and happy, and you've got good friends around you, and money's good, your bills are paid, and you're feeling fit, you're feeling attractive, it's easier to go to a social gathering because you feel good. That feel good factor, it carries you through. It almost, when you're feeling good, you're not focused on your inhibitions and your insecurities as much, because the feel good factor, the emotions of that kind of give you a different focus, and you're kind of focusing on, well, I feel good and I want to kind of share that with other people. I feel more confident to be around people, which is a wonderful thing. So it's easier to do things, but obviously it's inevitable in life. We don't always feel good, even when we've got all of the external things sorted out. You see it with people. That's why you've got people that are multimillionaires or billionaires, and then they go on these podcast shows, they open up and share their story. It doesn't surprise me, because I think I know quite a lot about people. It surprises a lot of people, though, when they say they're depressed, they've got suicidal thoughts, they have bad depression, or they've got bipolar or a mental health problem, or they're not fulfilled in their life. So it's not always about how much money you've got. It's really about what's going on inside, how you feel. And that comes back to, like I said, goals, accountability, the way you're showing up, your relationships, your connection with your values and your purpose in life, your motivations, things that happen day to day, things working out for you, etc. So where a lot of my clients get stuck when they're not feeling good, because they're in a job that they don't want to be in, they're not enjoying it, they've had a bad day at work, or let's say they get a date and they text the woman to go out, and the woman changes her mind or doesn't get back or doesn't want to go out with them. They get a disappointment in their life, they have a bad day at work, girl doesn't text them back, they have some financial challenges. All these little things can trigger unhappiness, depression, anxiety, and it without realizing, those little challenges in their life or in your life, without you realizing it, can trigger all your stuff from the past, or those feelings that you had. So for example, let's say you're in your 30s or 40s, or any age, 50s, and you have some challenges that are now in your life, but they bring up things that are in your childhood that were, when you're a teenager, feelings of, I'm not good enough, I'm ashamed, I'm a failure, I'm stupid, I always fail, people are better than me, even though these things are not fundamentally true. They're not true. But when you believe them, and you've been believing these lies for so many years, it builds a momentum, it builds a negative identity. And if you're not aware of it, then you're going to be feeding that negative identity, and that kind of connects with what we're talking about today. Not being able to get out of this anxiety, this depression, this procrastination. So it's almost like a double negative. It's like I'm feeling down because I'm down, and then I'm feeling more down and anxious because I'm not taking action on my goals. I'm not doing the things that I really want to do in my heart, and that's getting me down. So it's like 3 downs. I've been there, so I speak from experience. Big part of my story, my success, in my opinion, was I found a way out. It wasn't easy. I struggled like all my clients. That's why I'm able to help them. I know it from first-hand experience. I got to a point in my life, if you know my story, where I was afraid to come out of my flat. I wanted to commit suicide, but I didn't want to commit suicide. I was afraid to do it, but I just was afraid of living and existing the way I was, which was panic attacks every day. Didn't want to look people in the eye, didn't want to speak to new people, had a small circle of friends, lived a boring, mundane life, went to the same places, and just as soon as I left my house, it felt like being in a battlefield. That's how anxious and paranoid, nervous I was at that particular time, my early 20s. But I got to such a bad place where it was so painful that I just broke. I listened to a Les Brown motivational video on YouTube years ago, and it just motivated me to another level. It motivated me so much that I said, I can't do this anymore. I cried, said I've had enough. And it was the best thing that happened to me at that time. And then I went out and I done all the things that I'm kind of asking you to do in this video now. I've done them step by step, not in one day. And I did what's called exposure therapy. That's a psychological term, which means you expose yourself to the very things that frighten you, the anxieties and fears. So I had fears of everything. Most of my fears were around people. So I went out and I faced people and I had conversations, and I kind of like struggled my way through social situations. I struggled to maintain eye contact. I struggled to speak clearly without stuttering, freezing up, getting paralyzed in situations. And I failed my way, I literally, you could say, I know it doesn't make sense, but you guys would get it. I'm trying to use the exact right words to describe my emotions and what I did, so you can do it. I had to go through being this really awkward person socially. Well, at least I felt I was. I don't know how people perceive me. I'm sure at times they saw, of course they would have saw all my insecurities and my kind of social awkwardness and the fact that I wasn't comfortable. So I was just relentless, although it was embarrassing and frightening and it made me feel ashamed and it was uncomfortable. I knew through the experience I was getting that this was the only way I was going to overcome it, and eventually it did get comfortable and my life was just amazing, and I got a little bit more confident each time, a bit braver. I became aware of the patterns and the triggers and the little social tics that I had that used to kind of frighten me and kind of sabotage my connections with people and make me feel that I wasn't authentic. Make me feel like I was hiding myself from the world and people, which used to really hurt me really bad. And it used to make me feel that I'm not expressing myself, which I wasn't fully, because it all went back to my childhood abuse, verbal abuse, criticism, and being shamed and embarrassed, and kind of like being afraid to speak clearly or openly in front of people in case they like shouted at me, and that would have been like kind of confrontational for me or awkward, and then I was scared that I would shout back at them and didn't want to get into an argument or a fight, all that kind of stuff. Many of my clients have the same pattern. So it's really about, I know it can be a cliche word and I use it a lot, but you really do, I'll say purpose and then I'll change it, I'll use different words, but you've got to have a purpose in all this. And obviously, my purpose might be different to yours, my reasons. I'll give you my reasons and it might help you to find yours. If yours are the same as mine, great. I just want to help you to get results and face this anxiety. So I know I went on a tangent there, we went all over. I love doing that, by the way. That's my style of teaching, open. We go everywhere that we need to go, different places. We might talk about what happened in childhood. We'll come away from that. What you're struggling with your life right now, what's stressing you out, financial, relationships, people, responsibility, addiction, accountability, fitness, discipline, creativity, all these things connect to the same thing, because the anxiety and the trauma and negative voices and the depressions and the highs and the low mood, this is what you're up against. It's a fight. You've got to fight. And if you don't fight it, it will beat you into submission. As you know already, we've got millions of people around the world right now. It's very sad. That's why I'm doing the best I can to help more people, even people that are not my clients. We've got millions of men all around the world now that have been literally beaten into submission by anxiety and mental health. And I understand, I'm not judging them, I've been there myself. They have been, they've just been, their spirit has been broken because it is a tough fight. It can be so horrible and overpowering at times. But my story, 2 parts of my story are, the first part was I had all these anxieties and issues with women, with people, with making money, everything. I was frightened of pretty much everything. Went out, faced it for a couple of years, built confidence up, became a dating coach, got a girlfriend, made money, built a successful business and a brand. I had a great life. But then I had a mental breakdown some years later, and just fell apart. My whole identity fell apart. I lost my way in life due to mental health. Went through that, recovered, back now, and in the best place that I've ever been, and learnt so many things about trauma, anxiety, confidence, motivation, purpose, all these things that a lot of people you're interested in. And it's I'm very thankful because it's made me a better teacher than I was a good teacher before, but I've got more experience now, and I've got more maturity and understand people better now to help them better if they're open. So, when you talk about these things and we get these anxieties out, it feels like, oh my God, there's so many things going on here. Where do I start? There's all these issues. I've got all these feelings. I've got all these thoughts. I've got all these fears. I've got all these desires, all these passions, things that I want to achieve. But it just kind of gets so muddled up. That's why people come to a point where they say, I can't deal with this, and they block it out. And that's when they get distracted or addicted, or they just put things off. And again, I'm not a fan of the word, but we use it, procrastination. It's basically where you don't do anything. And that is the worst thing that you can do when you've got an anxiety disorder and you want to move past it and gain confidence and overcome it. It's doing nothing. And that's what I learned on my journey. For the first 15 years of my life, I didn't do anything because I was afraid to do things in case I failed and got judged, and got awkward and nervous, and I was afraid to get hurt, of course. I've been hurt in childhood, didn't want to re-experience hurt, pain, embarrassment and shame. But I didn't realise that was going to make it worse. It was going to make me a weak person. It was going to make me depressed, suicidal. So when I say fighting, I don't mean like fighting someone, but fighting the anxiety by going out and setting goals, achievable daily goals, long-term goals. Most of my goals were orientated around motivating myself to face my fear of people, to go and meet people, speak to them, to go on dates with women, to make more friends with guys, to go into different social settings like the business world and interact with people because I love business, to go into the boxing world because I like boxing and box and overcome my fear of being. So I really want to overcome my fear of people and different groups of people, and groups of people where I had the same passions and interests. Like I said, I love boxing and I love weight training, so I wanted to be around people that did weights and boxing. So I did that period of time and got some confidence and experience to lower the anxiety. Then of course, like most guys, love women, wanted to get a girlfriend, but I had so much anxiety around women, so I practiced talking to women, going on dates, getting more comfortable with women, and eventually getting a girlfriend. Then it went on to coaching, which is my passion, my purpose. So hopefully you can get inspired and really hear the truth of not just my story that I'm sharing now, which I am, but hopefully you'll hear and feel almost 11 years experience that I've got. I'm blessed, actually. I can't believe it when I think about it. I've been privileged to work with so many lovely people all around the world. It's amazing. I honestly couldn't. I was about to say I couldn't write a book. Actually, I will write a book, and I've learned a lot from teaching, from hearing so many problems in this area and helping clients to solve these problems. I've seen patterns, and it enables me to have the solution to these problems. So the solution is always really the same, pretty much. And the solution is that you've got to take action on the anxiety. However you do that, you've got to keep showing up. It takes time, don't get me wrong. This is not quick fix. It's not going to happen overnight. But the great news is, if you start today or tomorrow, you're already going to see some progress. And I always say that to my clients when we do the first session, and it's the truth. I say, look, we've got a long way to go, but look how much progress you've made today just in 2 hours. You know, when we do the rest of the 6 weeks program, or the year, or a weekend, and you're going to practice outside of the sessions, you're going to go to another level. So it's really about changing the mindset. And you can only really change your mindset through first establishing what your goals are. Because too many people with anxiety focus on the problem at hand. And if you focus on the problem, you're going to get distracted by the problem. That's why I'm not a big advocate of just going into childhood. We go there because sometimes we need to go there. We need to go back there for a second and get things out and clear up the mess, and and understand why are you the way that you are. And there was a period I had to do that. I had to go back to my childhood and figure out what caused me to have these issues that I had, these anxiety problems, these depressions, these insecurities, these inner voices. And once I was able to be brave enough to figure that out, it's like, right, I know the people that caused it, why they caused it, and why I'm like the way I am. Now I'm going to change it, which I did by moving forward, setting goals now and for the future, and working towards them. So it's about taking action today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life. And the more you do that, the better it gets. And for me, in a lot of social situations where I used to freeze up and seize up, just panic and not be able to move, how I unstuck myself from freezing up was by putting myself in that situation hundreds of times. So I make this point not to show off, to make a point. I've been speaking now in this video for almost 22 minutes. I could never have done this years ago because I was deeply traumatized back then, and I was so anxious. I didn't have the confidence and the self-control and discipline to speak this long without stuttering, because I've been practicing for more than 11 years, and I've worked through lots of issues and achieved quite a lot of success externally. And I'm more proud of the internal success that I've achieved, through building more emotional strength, maturity, mental toughness, emotional toughness, working through relationship anxieties, situational anxieties, getting over them, and still working through stuff as well. I'm still a work in progress. You never stop learning and growing unless you want to. But it's practice. Anyone can do this. Anyone can. My clients make amazing results. So, these are the things that you need to do. The quicker you focus on the solution, the quicker you're going to solve the problem. So yeah, be aware of the problem. It's fine to say, well, I've got social anxiety, I have anxiety because, let's say, for example, happens to a lot of people, their father or their mother was abusive towards them when they were younger, shouted at them, may not have meant to do it, but traumatized them nonetheless. Or it could have been a bully at school, it could have been your brother, your sister. It doesn't always have to be a family member, but anybody in your life. Could be someone that you met for the first time that bullied you at school, and it has affected you. It's put a lot of fear in you, a lot of anxiety, and it's left like a trauma and a schema on your psychology. And now you're realizing that you're acting from that place. You're acting from fear and paranoia and a defense mechanism all the time, which is not enabling you to live the life that you want to live and be yourself, be authentic, and be happy and feel connected to yourself and other people more. So with that said and that understood, it's like, well, how can you move forward now? How can you change these things and not be defined by a label? And forgiveness is a big part, but I always believe that comes a bit later on in time. People want to do that. I'm a huge believer in eventually you want to forgive yourself and everybody that's hurt you, to free you from pain, shame, anger, and a lack of self-esteem and self-love, etc. So the therapy really is about, well, my clients getting out. It's important having these therapeutic conversations like we're having today, but it's not enough just to have this. We've got to take action. You've got to go out and interact with people and set goals and go towards your personal goals and get your mind right. And I do the boxing videos on YouTube because boxing is one of the best tools I know for lowering anxiety, keeping your mental health stable, very good, not going too high or too low, getting you in shape, giving you confidence and energy and motivation. And I actually honestly believe through experience that training, the fitter you are and healthier you are, and the more you enjoy fitness, the calmer you are inside. And then when you're in social situations, you have less awkwardness and nervousness. But of course you have to socialize as well. You can't just go gym, come home and not shut yourself off from the world. So I'm sure, excuse me, I'm sure you've got loads out of today's video. I'm going to be doing a lot more, as I said, and I wanted to do this as almost like, I knew this would probably end up coming out really good, this video. I'm going to do more professional videos. Well, this camera's great, but I'm going to do videos on my Canon where I've got the mic. The audio will be a lot better. It's a bit echoey now. But yeah, this is like a kind of mini podcast that will help a lot of men at the moment that are struggling with anxiety and anxiety-related problem. And the solution is take action. Now, one of the things I'd love to invite you along to, it's a free event that I'm doing in January the 8th. It's a confidence event, and it's perfect for yourself if you've got social anxiety and you want to move forward. We meet in person. If you want to come along, I'll leave my email address below. It's free. It's for guys that want to move forward, that have got anxiety in all areas of life, build confidence, face fear. And it's an in-person meetup. I absolutely love it. I did one a few weeks ago. I really enjoyed it. Some of you came down, and I want to invite you to come to that. That would be a great step in the right direction for you to come to that event. I can tell you hand on heart, it changed my life, guys, going to events. Before I ran my own events, I went to other people's to build my confidence up and get experience and get more relaxed in groups. And I didn't like it at first because it made me uncomfortable, but as I got used to it, I loved it. So one of the teachings that I teach all my clients that life taught me, I didn't learn this from a book, this is through thousands of social interactions and making progress myself and then teaching other people to make progress. You've got to accept being uncomfortable at certain times in your life, especially around people. You can't judge yourself. It's not bad. It's actually a good thing. And you've got to learn to stay in those feelings and manage them. And the more you do that, the more you're going to gain confidence. And eventually those issues you will eradicate those anxiety issues, and you will be more, you can breathe more, you'll be lighter around people, you'll be more confident, you'll have better eye contact, you can speak more, you won't run out of things to say as much, you won't freeze up. The doors of opportunity will just be endless for you in your life. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating, because as most of you know, for those that haven't suffered a severe anxiety problem, especially around social anxiety, people wouldn't understand. I wouldn't expect them to. I've suffered it, I've been through it. So I know all my clients go for, I know how they feel. I know the sort of thought patterns they're having, because I had all the same thing, but I also know that they can achieve greatness. So you can just do so much more once you get over this. You can make more money, you can be a better person, get a girlfriend, you can just change your life, travel, so many more things. So I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm going to make a lot more videos on this. Let me know your thoughts in the box below. If this video helped you, if you've got any other questions, I'm sure you have, I'm going to make a lot more videos on this area of anxiety and how to improve it and move forward. But yeah, I hope to see you at the event on January the 8th. The link is below. I'm going to leave a link to the actual meetup platform you can join, so you can get notified with the upcoming talks I do all throughout the year. And you can just send me a personal email if you want to come along on January the 8th, all right? Bye.